Hello everyone, welcome back for some more Let's Play The Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve. Twisted Karma in his last bow.
Pipe in hand, Sholmes looked down at the thick, rolling fog outside our window. I wonder exactly how many mysteries are out there, hidden within this bed of fog, he said.
It's a lot of red-haired
A
fellas.
most bizarre incident, born of a curious advertisement. A hellhound's mad gallop through the shadows of a serial murder, an executed man's graveyard resurrection in the dead of night. And a commonplace killing in a small, forgotten room at the edge of town. There is, naturally, always another side to every case, of which most remain ignorant. And it is that other side which compels me to the scene of the crime, Wilson. So quickly now, take your hat and let's be on our way, my dear fellow. For our adventure is not over yet. Come, the game is afoot.
Alright, calling it now. Calling it now. It says his last bow. Sholmes is going to be the one that dies. It's going to be fake. And he's going to come back in a final case, and the Reichenbach Falls will be mentioned at some point. Let's see. 8 days after that earth-shattering trial, and Kazuma regaining his memory. We were in the foyer of one of London's most luxurious hotels, the Great Waterloo Hotel. Is that real? Is that a real place? That sounds not Ace Attorney enough to maybe be real. Great. I'm typing it in, and typing's hard. Great Waterloo Hotel. Comes up with the Ace Attorney wiki first, so the answer to that is no. I guess it's not real. Dang, that's a nice hotel. It's like super modern and stuff. Professor Mikitoba is due to arrive at any moment. Oh! Okay, he's coming here. Yes, I'm so glad we got here in time. Sasato-san hasn't been the same since what happened. Not that I'm surprised. The truth about Kazuma-sama's father. Do you suppose my father knew? And he was actually the mass murderer, the professor, you mean? That's crazy. Still, because in this case, the professor is not James Moriarty. Unless he is? We'll have to see. I knew that's what she was thinking about. There's a good chance, I'd say. I mean, they did come here to London together 16 years ago, didn't they? Yes, that's true. Come to think of it, didn't you say that Professor Mikitoba knew about Kazuma going missing in Hong Kong as well? That's right, but for some reason he wasn't at liberty to talk to me about it. That probably means he knows then about Kazuma showing up here in London with amnesia, and that he's regained his memory now. Ah, there she is. Wait, oh frick! Yo! You two look very different. Holy crap. Wow. Mikitoba. You look like Watson. Sorry, Wilson. And, holy crap, Judge Jigoku. You look like you got 720 motions, brother. Oh, father. Hello, Sasato. How are you? I'm very well, thank you. We're delighted that you've arrived safe and sound. Holy crap, the drip! Oh my god! Professor Mikitoba, you are the picture of a Watson. That's insane! Hello, Mr. Naruhodo. Very kind of you to take the trouble to meet us here. Oh, no, not at all. It's my pleasure. We've heard all about your extraordinary exploits here in London, you know.
The news has crossed the seas.
It has?
I always look forward to reading the monthly reports that arrive with the steamships from Britain.
Look at that genuinely kind smile. Oh, I see. Well, thank you very much. Who is this guy? And why do I feel as though I've seen him before?
I take it from your expression that you can't quite place me. In that case, how about a little reminder, Seishiro? A firm tap should do. Yes.
A firm tap? What?
Here we go, then. I hereby pronounce the defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, guilty.
Oh, you're... Yeah, when you guys are out of the traditional clothing, you look completely different. This is cool.
The court will now hear the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
Your Excellency! Hello, Judge Jigoku. How are you? It's been a long time.
Good. You remembered now. That really did the trick. Guilty.
Oh, he's kind of a great guy. Only I was declared not guilty, wasn't I? There was no laughing at the time.
So, London again after all this time.
Were you one of the ones too?
Hard to believe it's been 10 years. To be honest, I never thought I'd be back. Neither did I. I didn't imagine Japan would ever be invited to an international symposium like this. Though really, I doubt anyone did, to be honest. It's all thanks to you, isn't it, Seishiro? What are you talking about, Yujin?
Of course, Judge Jigoku, he must complete the set. He's the other man who 16 years ago came to London with Kazuma's father and Professor Mikitoba. He's the third visiting scholar.
Well, all those passport checks and luggage searches at the border took rather a lot of time.
God, tell me about it. There's nothing worse than landing after like a 16-hour flight, and then it's like, all right, now you gotta stand in line for 3 hours to get your passport checked. It's the worst.
I must say, I'm very envious of your ministerial status. You didn't have to go through any of that, did you? I knew you were jealous.
Sorry? Ministerial status?
Yes. Didn't you know? Seishiro here is also Japan's Minister of Foreign Affairs.
What? Holy crap.
It was his personal insistence that allowed you to take Kazuma's place here on this study tour. Guilty as charged.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Really every bit as important as he looks.
Yes, now, Naruhodo. I received a telegram from Lord Stronghart yesterday.
Oh, you did?
It appears that some things came to light in a trial you were involved with 8 days ago. About what happened 10 years ago. That tragedy.
Yes. Could you tell us any more about it? This is wild. First off, let's take a look here. Look at this bougie hotel. Is that London or is that the... Look at that. It's a picture of the Crystal Tower. That's wild how they printed that so quickly. I feel like that just happened. Well, the Great Exhibition is one of Britain's most prestigious achievements in recent years. I wonder how tall it is. It really does represent the pinnacle of scientific achievement in so many ways. There's a 20-meter tall chimney on the bathhouse near my lodgings at Yume University. The attendant there is always boasting that it's the tallest object in the neighborhood. I'm sure. Did you know that over the channel in Paris, there's a tower that's 300 meters tall? See, that's what I was thinking of. What? How many times taller is that than the chimney at Yume Soken Hot Springs is that? And if it's that tall, how does it draw properly? The smoke would get stuck, surely. I I don't think it's that sort of tower, Mr. Naruhodo. My man thinks in bathhouses. Have you seen all those sparkling jewels up there? You must have gathered every gem in the world for that. It's called a chandelier, I believe. It's designed to provide elegant lighting in large, spacious rooms like this. So they had to gather every gem in the world just to illuminate one room? It's probably electrical light bulbs that are actually throwing the light. If I tried to hang something like that from the ceiling in the office, it'd be scraping on the floor. I think perhaps chandeliers aren't for you, Mr. Naruhodo. Nope. Look at these guys. That desk is known as the hotel reception. Anyone wanting to spend the night has to report there to sign in for their stay. Oh, so do you think that's the head clerk behind the desk there? Yes, I'm sure it must be. I'd love to stay in a grand hotel like this for a little while, wouldn't you? Just to know what it's like. If the hotel fee was paid through our stipend, I'm afraid it might bankrupt our homeland. True. London gives the word expensive a whole new meaning. That is a screenshot for my British friends who live there, because, yep, my time in London, yep, that's super true. Let's see here. Okay, your bellboy's there. Chandelier we did. Look at those cases just left there in that trolley. Aren't they worried about thieves? I know I am. Haven't you seen the porter over there? Don't worry. He's obviously keeping an eye on everything. Oh, so it's a trap. Designed to catch any chancers who might be tempted. You are an NPC. Reused. Why did the porter give me such a scathing look just now, do you suppose? Well, some might say you look a little suspicious with your jet black clothes. Not everyone clad in black is some sort of ninja with intent to steal, you know. That sounds a little, racist there, Sasato. She's like, okay, sure. I like the idea that she's just fed up with this, you know? Oh, hey, did you know? Professor McToba, I wonder, could I show you something? Why do you seem so nervous? I suppose because I'm a student showing something to a professor, that's always quite nerve-wracking. Well, I'm sorry I perturb you in that way, but anyway, I'm afraid I have nothing useful to say about that, really. Dang. That's a surprise, of all the people to talk about my cool band. Anyways, tell me about your journey. So, how was the voyage here? Well, 50 days at sea is a long time by anyone's standards. But it wasn't as bad as when we first came 16 years ago. No, that's true. And I truly wondered if we wouldn't be drifting in the vast ocean for the rest of our lives. This time we followed the same route as you, so we were able to relax and enjoy the experience. So you stopped in France's beautiful capital, Paris? We did, yes, though only for one night. Yesterday evening we left the port of Dunkirk for Dover. Just in time for the symposium, in fact. It starts tomorrow. It's wonderful that you were invited to attend such an important international event. I'm very proud of you, Father. As thanks to Seishiro here, 16 years ago he managed to ingratiate himself with Britain's Attorney General. I'm sure that's why he was invited. I suppose you could say I'm something of an appendage by default. Speak for yourself, Eugen. You were close friends with the professor of foreign science at a major hospital. That's interesting. Close friends with a professor of foreign science. For some reason, my brain's going to a female. Okay, so she's not in here, but... God! For the life of me, you're Wilsonified! Minister of Foreign Affairs and a judge who acquitted me when I was accused of murder. That's crazy, man. Okay. Yes, well, I'd rather not dredge all that up, really. Okay, bud. How many kids you got running around? No, There's been a lot of water under the bridge since then, but it doesn't bring him back. Kazuma's father, I suppose. Well, let's talk about him. The professor, the killer who took the lives of 5 members of the British aristocracy, was actually Kazuma's father, wasn't he? That's correct. Genshin Asogi. I knew it. I knew Genshin killed people. Genshin? You knew, I presume, father. Okay, so what does that word actually mean in Japanese? Because of course it actually has meaning. I know it has a different name in Chinese, so it's like Genshin meaning. What does it mean? Yeah, because in Chinese it's Yuanshen, which is original god, right? Um, Genshin, also known as Eishin Sozu, was a prominent Japanese monk who recognized for his contributions to the Tendai and the Pure Line Buddhism. Okay, that doesn't. I don't know if this is what I need to figure out. Wait, wait. Musashi Genshin was another name for Miyamoto Musashi? That's very interesting. I didn't know about that. Huh. I do find it funny. He is listed on the Genshin disambiguation page on Wikipedia. Genshin Shogi is listed there. Genshin, translated as ologenes in English dialogue, refers to humans. No, that's Genshin. That's Genshin. Okay. They have the potential to become gods. Genshin means like proto-god or original god, is a figure in Gnosticism with both supernatural power and the potential to become a god. Okay. Okay. That's real curious. Real curious. Anyways, you knew, I presume, father? Yes. He was a close friend at the time. Genshin. I, it's, I'm gonna be real. It's real hard to treat dialogue that's serious with that one. I have to say it. Like, Genshin came to Britain as a police detective. Like, that's tough to say. That's real tough to get around. He was studying investigative techniques at Scotland Yard. I've never understood what drove the man to commit such heinous acts. It was a closed trial, so the public never knew the truth, and he was executed with little ado. To this day, very few people know what really happened, even in our homeland. But what about Kazuma? Did he know? Did he know the truth about his father? No, of course not. He was told his father passed from sickness. However, I suspect he may have had his doubts. Oh, why? As you know, I tried to guide Kazuma growing up, as if he were my own son. Then one day he came to my office at the university and said, I've decided I want to travel to Great Britain and study there. Do you think he wanted to come here to investigate his father's death? I don't know. When I looked into his eyes, I did know that there was no way I'd be able to stop him. Something else came to light in the trial the other day, actually. Oh? What? Well, having disappeared in Hong Kong and missing for almost a year, Kazuma's since turned up here in London, working as the apprentice of Lord Van Zeeks. What? Yeah. Oh my god. We were talking about all this and we haven't told him that yet? That's... Okay. What? That's news to us. So, Lord Stronghart's telegram neglected to mention that part then. Yeah, I feel like that's a very important thing that they didn't know about. As you know, we both thought Kazuma had died on the steamship during our voyage to Great Britain in January. But he didn't die. He's alive, As you knew, didn't you, Father?
In actual fact, no. What I did know is that when your ship docked in Hong Kong, he mysteriously vanished. We sent a team of investigators to Hong Kong to try to ascertain what had happened, but to no avail. But he's still alive? And here in London, you say? I never dared to even dream it. Why on earth did that young man not make contact? The government and police have been chasing clues fruitlessly for months now.
Well, it seems that he was suffering from amnesia.
What?
Amnesia? When we first came across him again here in London, he didn't know who either of us were.
I see.
He only regained his memory 8 days ago.
This is unbelievable. Yes, it's quite miraculous. I wonder why Lord Stronghart didn't let us know. I must speak with him urgently.
Wonder how Kazuma's been these past few days. Would it be wrong of us to go and visit him? Tell me about your time in Britain.
That began 16 years ago now. It's a distant memory, really. It was Yujin here, Genshin Shogi, and myself. We were the original 3. The first judicial scholars from Japan to travel overseas to study. Ocean voyages were not what they are today, I can tell you.
16 years ago, things were tough for their generation.
Your father was an exceptionally fine medical student at Yume University at the time, you know, young lady.
Yes, grandmother told me.
He went to do research at a great London hospital to study autopsy. Practically unheard of in Japan, that's true.
The idea of opening up dead bodies, that's like, you can't do that in Japan. That's a no-no. Like, that is, you know, I wouldn't even say, like, religiously not allowed. I mean, it is religiously not allowed. But, like, societally, the idea of, you know, the affecting a body in that way, you can't do that, right? That's very much not okay.
Yes. It was an eerie place, sandwiched between the back of a prison and a burial ground.
Oh, hey! What did I say? Oh my god. You had a baby. With her. I'm calling it now. You guys, you did the do. One of those... Is that one gremlin running around wearing a mask because they got the Japanese eyes?
Oh...
Not more talk of graves.
Very often, there's no one willing to deal with bodies following autopsy work. The autopsy labs have something of an unavoidable relationship with graveyards and prisons.
Not my cup of tea at all.
You remember that Scottish prison governor? Caden, his name was. Good man. Yes, but then of course, in our 6th year here, everything changed with that dreadful case. When Genshin was arrested for a series of the most gruesome murders. I simply couldn't believe it. I'd known the man for years. I was a witness at the secret hearing, and I tried to speak in his defense, but you went a little too far and ended up facing charges yourself, didn't you? Well, suffice to say that after that trial, we were sent back to Japan. There was nothing more we could do to save Genshin. It was a lost cause, sadly. They just keep adding more characters with power creep, and the rates don't get any better. And also they remove content, so new players can't onboard with everything. It's just not right. Have you seen what happens if you try to get Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn? It's a mess. Well, if you'll excuse us now. Yes, I'd like to get this trunk up to my room as soon as possible.
Oh, I'm sorry. Should have held you up here for so long. My question, is there another person in that trunk? My first thought, why is it so big? I'll call for the porter then. Just wait here. Asada-san's gone off at a run.
I'd like to stay and talk more, but I do have various preparations to make for tomorrow.
Yes, of course. It must be a big responsibility representing our entire country. I wish you the best of luck.
Naruhodo, I hope you'll keep an eye on Susato for me. Keep looking after her as you obviously have been.
You sound like you're going to die. Don't do this. Oh, no, I mean, if anyone's looking after anyone, it's her looking after me.
Well, I do appreciate you being there for her. After all, I've been a miserable father to her. I've thoroughly let her down.
Sorry? What do you mean?
Well, it was 16 years ago that I started my long study tour here in Britain, as you know. The very year Susato was born.
Yes, I heard.
The birth of my daughter was the most joyous event in my life, but, well, sadly was accompanied by the most tragic event of my life, too.
If you can't tell, I'm trying to do like a Mike Hagar voice for him. Because he looks like Mike Hagar a bit, right? And, talking about his daughter, just replace Susato with Jessica. Oh, yes. Susato's son hinted at something like that. It was a rather turbulent time at home.
Anyway, I won't bore you with the details. The point is, I became rather less dependable than befits a grown man. And it was then that Seishiro offered me the opportunity to study here in Great Britain. I was too worried about you to leave you behind.
Are you two...
So perhaps I was a little heavy-handed when it came to persuading you to accompany me to London. So, that's what happened in a nutshell. And that's also the reason why I now feel compelled to give my daughter as many opportunities as I dare. Though the world does not readily afford young women such things, I must say.
I completely understand, Professor.
One other thing, Naruhodo. If I may be so bold, I have a favor to ask you.
Oh, yeah, of course. What can I do for you?
Well, thing is,
I'm sorry that took so long. Mr. Sato, now then, allow us to take your bags.
I me to take your bags. Wilfred Brimley. One moment, if you please, Porter. No, of course, sir. That machine around your neck is a camera, I believe. Quite right, sir. It's 5 shillings for a lovely photograph to commemorate a stay at the wonderful stay at the hotel, sir. I think, given the occasion, we could justify the expense. Oh, yes, of course.
This is going... Oh, it's a good thing I changed costumes. This is going to be evidence. That's evidence for something. Someone here's going to die, and we need to have evidence of their body before they died. I'd like to thank you for coming with me, Mr. Naruhodo. It's really made Father very happy, I think. Oh, well, I'm pleased then. But we were interrupted before. Professor McTobo was about to ask me something. Shall we return to Baker Street then? I expect I still have some delicious tea waiting for us. Oh my god, he's gonna die. We're not gonna hear the favor. Yes, let's go. Oh my god. I'm getting more and more anxious about Kazuma, though. Perhaps I'll try to meet with Lord Stronghart later and ask after him. They're gone. Okay. Well, I guess let's go see Lord Chief Justice Stronghart. Oh, here's these two. Why is he stanced up like that?
Here's the final draft of the opening address for tomorrow's proceedings. I've supplemented your original with figures you asked for from the yard. I see. Excellent work. Thank you. You're welcome, my lord.
What's Lord Van Zieks doing here? Why
Why is the chief prosecutor at the why is the prosecutor the chief prosecutor? It doesn't matter.
My, there seems to be an awful lot of tension in the air, wouldn't you say?
This place is stifling enough as it is. I really don't need any more tension. Oh boy. My apologies. I didn't notice you come in. Your small stature and dark dress make you all but invisible to me.
Oh, no, it's entirely my fault for wearing black, I'm sure. From now on, you must dress in white from head to toe whenever you come here.
Now then, Mr. Naruhodo.
Yes, my lord? I'm right here.
Kill me now. Is something wrong? Perhaps it's a little too hot in here for you. Shall all of us menfolk take off our shirts?
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, I've never experienced a room at such a perfect temperature.
If you're sure. The beads of sweat carving their way down your face seem to suggest otherwise.
Because of the daggers you're staring at me with, mainly.
As you're no doubt aware, my International Forensic Science Symposium starts tomorrow. In fact, your father arrived in London earlier today, I hear, madam.
Oh, yes, that's right, my lord. He's extremely honored to have been invited.
I'll leave the remaining preparations for the meeting room in your capable hands then, Lord Van Zieks.
Somebody's gonna die in that room.
I will attend at once. It's gonna be you. You're gonna die. Somebody's gonna die in that room. It's absolutely.
He gave you a very cold stare as he left, didn't he? I know, but I haven't done anything, have I?
These past few days, my feet have barely touched the ground, I must say. My dedicated right hand of many years was recently put out of action in spectacular fashion.
And you're gonna blame me and not them for doing the things? Oh, sorry to hear that. Is your left hand still of service? I'm sorry. History, Y button. That's just a joke right from Resident Evil 4. Capcom, you can't reference your own jokes. Mr. Naruhodo, he's talking about Dr. Scythe. Oh, of course. I'm terribly sorry about that. I was just,
Fear not. You've done nothing wrong. Dr. Scythe's own wrongdoing precipitated the situation.
Okay, good. At least you're on that side.
You needn't concern yourself with it any further.
That would be a lot easier to do if it weren't for the piercing stare you're giving me.
Lord Van Zieks is doing an admirable job of holding down the fort, though disturbingly, his apprentice has been missing since yesterday.
Oh my god, what if he came back to life just to die again? I would scream. Oh, missing? What's become of Kazuma-sama now? Are we seriously doing that he's just gonna keep disappearing?
Not long ago, visitor numbers to the great exhibition exceeded 30 million.
30 million? Are there even that many people in the world? Actually, it was one guy who visited 30 million times. He's kind of a freak. As a comparison, Mr. Naruhodo, the population of the imperial capital of Tokyo is 2 million.
I will be opening the International Forensic Science Symposium in the exhibition's main auditorium. This event has been 2 years in the making. 2 years of preparations and negotiations with other countries.
Sounds like a tremendous achievement. Congratulations.
The 20th century will see the wholesale adoption of forensic investigation techniques and cooperation between policing organizations around the globe will be essential, which is why this landmark symposium had to be hosted here at the heart of our great British Empire, in order that Scotland Yard can become the leading investigative organization in the New World.
I guess we gotta go to New World or something. He's the same as ever, I see. That passion of his is quite something. You're every bit as passionate in your own way, I'm sure, Mr. Naruhodo.
I'm the only person in this country who truly cares about a future that embraces forensic science. It was my intention to become Her Majesty's Attorney General and reform the Yard from the ground up. So the disgrace of the forensic investigation team has been a bitter blow to my ambitions.
Tell me about the fit.
I first established the forensic investigation team a year ago, experimentally to start with. With Dr. Scythe at the helm, it was steadily accruing an impressive record of achievement. I was on the verge of changing its name and elevating its status to a full-blown forensic investigation department.
The FID. And can you not do that now?
Obviously, nobody wants to hear anything about it at the moment. Even I can't keep this story out of the papers. 6 million Londoners will be cursing forensic science now.
Maybe it's because you hired a crazy lady. That could be part of it.
This incident will set back our country's advancement in the field by a good 10 years, I'd say.
Unintended repercussions of our trial. We simply couldn't have overlooked what had happened, though.
Of course not. We should all be grateful to you both. Anyway, I'll still reform this country's policing when I become Attorney General. This might delay my plans, but it won't alter them. Nothing will stand in my way.
You are so villain-coded. Like, I'm sorry, dude. There's no world where you're not the final boss. About Lord Van Zeek's apprentice.
Ah, yes, that came as a surprise to me, I must say. That you and he are old friends.
How did he become an apprentice to Lord Van Zeek's in the first place?
It came about 3 months ago. An unidentified Asian man was apprehended by border police. They found him hiding aboard a large goods vessel.
Oh my, so he stowed away to get here.
He had no papers to identify him, no passport, and he was suffering from amnesia too. Other than the fact he was clearly of Eastern descent, there were no clues as to who he was. So I decided to assign him to Lord Van Zeek's. That way I could keep an eye on him.
But then why the mask?
I didn't want to burden Lord Van Zeek's with tiresome explanations about why he had an Eastern apprentice.
Is that good? I can't tell if that's like legitimately being nice for both him and Lord Van Zeek's, or if that's just another deeper form of prejudice in itself. It'd be so much easier to explain why he was wearing a mask. Honestly, I think it would be. I think there's that one gif of the person who's like wearing the mask and someone sees it and they're like, it's whatever, and then they take it off and it's a person of color and they scream. I think some people would legitimately be more fine with a white person in a mask than a person of color. He's proving to be a great help to Lord Van Zeek's. I have high hopes for his future. By the way, do you know where he's gone? No idea, but I believe he's left London for the time being. Oh. Oh no, didn't they say the murder happened at like a small place outside London? Uh-oh! I take it you also didn't know that the man's father was one of our country's most infamous criminals, I mean. Enshin Asogi. Can you tell me about him? What we learned from the trial 8 days ago was a huge shock. Finding out my friend's father was... yes. Genshin Asogi. The professor case 10 years ago caused a great stir here in Britain. They were such awful murders, and unprecedented, using a ferocious dog as a murder weapon. Is there some relation with Genshin and a dog? I don't know.
and no one would have believed the culprit was a foreign student invited to study here by the government. So the true identity of the killer couldn't be made public then, and can't be made public now. Nobody in your country knows it was him, and neither do the citizens of London.
The main motivation was to avoid aggravating relations between our two countries at the time, I understand.
Correct. However, it has to be noted that there were some supporters of the professor's apparent cause.
You mean there's people who would literally cheer for someone who actually eats the rich? I can't believe that. Let me ask my good friend Luigi what he thinks of that. Luigi, what do you think of this? I'm the Pope. Thanks, Luigi. What? Supporters of mass murderer?
The majority of the man's victims were a blight on the aristocracy of the day. Somewhat ironically, their deaths actually benefited society as a whole.
A real Shinzo Abe situation, you could say.
Or so a fair few thinkers in London believed anyway.
Right, I see. But it was still murder, wasn't it? It seems very similar, doesn't it? To the idea of the Reaper, of the Bailey. That's it? You know I'm a lawyer? Could I show you this, Lord Stronghart?
I'm the Lord Chief Justice. I'm not here to offer advice about evidence.
Oh,
Especially when the evidence in question is so dull.
oh, so that's the real reason. Okay, bye. Let's go and, have some tea, I guess. A little spot of tea. It's tea time. Gonna have some Darjeeling and biscuits. I'm just noticing what's on the table. I don't know what noise this is meant to be. What was that? A man screaming in a most unflattering way. Do you think... Could it have been Mr. Sholmes? Oh my, I do hope not. I don't do it anymore. Mon ami. Stop this disgraceful display, huh? Who are these people? Look at their hair. It's bright red. I think they must be clients of Mr. Sholmes. All right, you two. You're coming with me now. Down to the clink. No, not in prison. It is dark and damp, and I don't like it. Boff the darkness. It is my friend. I am not scared. But you are always scared of the dark. Shut your mouth, you idiot. I will sit quietly in the dark and plan our next daring heist. I don't like this. I don't like it. Oh, well, tough. We'll finish this down at the yard. Now get moving. Bye then, Ginny. Have fun. Oh yeah, thanks, Iris. And thanks, you great detective. Gina makes a fine detective herself, doesn't she? Oh, Susie and Bruno. Hello, Iris. We're home. Well, did you find your daddy? Yes. We arrived at the hotel just before he and his friend. Oh, well, that's great news. I hope I'll get to see my daddy again soon.
We still haven't told her.
Yes. Of course. Dr. John H. Wilson. So, Iris, all that remains now is the greatest of problems known to man. You're red-haired now.
Wow, your color scheme has been completely destroyed. Before we concern ourselves with that, I believe some tea is in order, don't you, my dear fellows? Is something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? Do I have a crumb of such like on my face? Not so much on your face as on your head, I'd say. Come along then, everyone. I've brewed a lovely special blend. Time for tea. Whatever is going on here today? In that case, let us sit and drink now. For I'm, in fact, expecting a guest later today. Oh, we're not going to bring this up. Okay. Who are those two? Also, the lie you told is a strong prompt there. Mr. Sholmes, who are those two gentlemen that were here before? Do we have anything about them? No. Okay. Oh, just a pair of petty criminals, nothing of significance. Of course, they have to make a living somehow. And when the mood takes me, I'm willing to turn a blind eye to all manner of infractions. When the mood takes you? All manner of infractions. But when such fellows set the sights on Mr. Herlock Sholmes, well, that's when their luck runs out. Oh my, you were the target of a crime, Mr. Sholmes? But I quickly devised a plan to entrap them and deliver them to a young detective ally. You should have asked Gregsy to come too. We could have had an arresting tea party. I did send word, but no answer was forthcoming. Maybe Gregsy's dead. Man is consummately in the wrong place at the wrong time. There's a word for it, I'm sure. Ah, I have it! A bungler! That's the word. Bungler, bungler, bungler. It's a good job he's not here to hear you say that. So those redheads had been up to no good? I wonder what the men did. Greatest problem? What was that about the greatest of problems known to man that you mentioned before? Is it another fiendishly intricate case, Mr. Sholmes? How should I best explain it? Are you aware of the theory of evolution by natural selection, perchance? Oh, Charles Darwin. Well, I think I've heard talk of it somewhere. Possibly. It's a revolutionary scientific theory that was newly proposed 40 years ago now. Okay, so 40 years. Okay, that's a decent amount of time. According to its author, Mr. Darwin, we humans were once apes who lived in the treetops. Wait, what? We were monkey? Indeed. And from the very moment those apes descended from the canopy to live as humans, it has been our lot to be at the mercy of the greatest problem known to man. Our lot? What is this great problem, Mr. Sholmes? Why, is it not obvious, my dear madam? The problem of rent. Oh, that's real. But did you not receive a rather large sum of money from Madame Tuspel's only the other day? Pshaw! He said pshaw? A large sum. One potted herb for Iris and a new motor car for me later. Oh, you got a new car. And all of it has quite disappeared, I assure you. Honestly, Hurley, you know you squandered it. Yes, well, anyway, 2 days ago, I discovered the answer to man's greatest problem. For the coming month, at least. What was the answer? Why? There's a substantial clue before your very eyes. Don't tell me. Let me see. Humans are sorry creatures, unable to see what is in front of their noses. Let me give you some assistance. Don't look, but observe me very closely. There's one particular feature about my person that has changed. You should notice it in the end, I think. In the end? It's been stabbing me in both eyes right from the beginning of our conversation. I think we might need another clue before we uncover the full answer, Mr. Naruhodo. Thanks.
for the hint. I'll be tearing my hair out if the charade goes on much longer. Okay. Also, I want to check it. Is there a reason we have Kazuma's mask? The mask Kazuma wore when he was assigned to Lord Van Zeeks as his apprentice. When he cast it aside after the trial the other day, I just sort of picked it up, as lawyers want to do. We ought to give it back to him, I suppose. He has his memory back now, doesn't he? I can't help feeling he might turn around and tell me coldly to wear it myself. But isn't he your best friend? Is that still there? He didn't sell it back. Anything else new here? No? Okay, that's fine. Anyways, let's talk more. I have a feeling that all of this was pre-planned and you planned it with Kazuma. That's kind of where I'm going with this. I feel like he's playing 5D chess. Mr. Sholmes, isn't it about time you told us the truth? Just over a week ago, you said to us, I will now tell you something of the first importance, my dear fellow. Great detectives are wont to lie. It will serve you well to remember that. That case aboard the SS Berea in January, Kazuma wasn't killed. And you knew he wasn't dead at the time. So what was really going on? The fellow was unconscious for a very long time. If he hadn't regained consciousness when he did, his life would have been in mortal peril. Of course, the side effect of the prolonged comatose state was amnesia, as you now know. Oh, he got it from being out for so long. It was a simple enough task to silence the crew. But how? After they'd carried him out of the cabin, I assembled them in the lobby area. Then I made them swear to leave him unconscious and have him unlaid from the ship in Hong Kong as a murdered corpse. Oh, how horrible. It was necessary to find some material with which to persuade the crew to keep their word, of course. But why? Why do it in the first place? I'll be at liberty to elaborate in due course. But for the time being, I would like to reassure you. I didn't foresee subsequent events. What events? His disappearance in Hong Kong. Oh. I believe I may have been made a gross error of judgment. Mr. Sholmes. Are we actually leaving it there? Oh my god, we're leaving it there. No freaking way. Okay, well, let's go back up to our room, I guess, for now. 1st November. Please. Anything new? Spade is still here, look! Please, Mr. Naruhodo, it's not a spade. As I think you well know, it's a shovel. Didn't take long to reignite that old argument. Ah, I have an idea. Let's give the implement a name, like Professor Hairbrain named his tools. I never thought of doing that! From now on, then, let's call it Ryunosuke. No. It's clearly much more of a Susato. The old argument has taken on a new and unexpected turn, it seems. Oh, her desk is all done back up. Oh, the sea life seemed very content in there, I must say. I've noticed something recently, actually. The anemones breed at a most extraordinary rate. Fellas, is this Riz? You hit a girl with this, I think you're in there. Oh, really? It's a mystery why the whole seabed isn't buried in a mountain of them, actually. Oh, how splendid. That really is a mystery, isn't it? I think it is Riz. I wish there was someone here to explain Susato-san's strange reaction to that. Yeah. My desk is just as it was before I left. Sumi ink and a calligraphy brush, even though we're in England now. That strikes me as typically you, Miss Sasato, and typically not you at the same time. Well, I do enjoy all the wonderful new things to come out of the West in the Cultural Revolution, of course. But I'm not ready to give up my brush just yet. And anyway, Sasato can write more neatly with a brush than most people can with a pen. Practice makes perfect, as they say. Your room across the hall is undisturbed, of course. I don't suppose I'd be permitted to see inside now that you're back, though, would I? You know very well that only Iris is allowed inside. Yeah, I heard you two giggling together in there again last night. You can visit Mr. Sholmes in his room, Mr. Naruhodo. Last time I did that, he tried to convince me to drink some strange concoction he'd mixed up. That was probably opium. That was absolutely an opium drink, buddy. He tried to get you crunk. Reminder, Sherlock Holmes, nefarious drug user. The steam is rising gently from the kettle as always. Yeah, doesn't feel right somehow unless it is. But the steam has an unusual scent today. What did Sholmes put in the water? Perhaps the sweet potatoes that I brought back from Japan with me are written. Oh my god, guys. Listen. The smell of a sweet potato. Like, either just like wrap it in tinfoil and throw it in a fire, or like thrown and just cooked. It is heaven. And like when I go out, there's just sweet potato vendors and I want to cry. It is the perfect smell. Ooh. Oh, Mr. Naruhodo, I heard that, you know. Tears of joy, Miss Sasato, from my mouth. No, but for real, it's such a simple thing. And if you've had like sweet potato fries, you don't understand like how much better just a regular sweet potato is. Whenever you serve me tea, it always takes me back to Japan. I know you're not particularly fond of the bitter taste, are you? So I do always try to pick out the less bitter matcha for you. It does often serve up an unusually mellow blend, it's true, but the anticipation of the taste in my mouth makes me bitterly worried anyway. It is very difficult for you, isn't it? It's difficult for every attorney. We're all a little quirky, you know. Anyways, what do I do? It's good news that Professor McToba arrived safely, isn't it? Yes, it's wonderful. And the fact that Father has been invited to this important international event really makes me very proud to be his daughter. Your father, Judge Dagoku, us, and Kazuma, of course. There's an ever-increasing number of Japanese here in Britain's capital, isn't there? Well, yes, I suppose so. But London does have a population of 6 million people, so I think we're still a minority. Masato-san's father, who came here as a visiting student 16 years ago, and Kazuma. It's almost as if some great power has been at work, drawing them here across the ocean to London. And I feel as though the waters are starting to swell again now. Okay, we obviously have to go somewhere again. Back to the hotel. Can we go back to the hotel? I don't think there's anything else new here. Alright. I don't see anything else here. Okay. Move. Lord Chief Justice. Is there some kiddo who's hanging about? These very European suits of armor are still glaring at each other across the carpet, I see. In a way, they feel like guardians of the Lord Chief Justice's office. I suppose they're rather like the lion dogs that guard shrines in Japan, aren't they? Aren't they a bit too human to be called lion dogs, Sasato? Did you know that it's a dream of mine to keep 2 cats one day? It's good to dream big, I guess. Feels though we've gone off at a bit of a tangent, don't you? I love the Komainu dogs. They're cute and good. You can read all these books even if you were reincarnated 6 times over as a bookworm. Did Lord Stronghart really have read all these? Thinking about it, Father's study's full of books that look as though they've never been read too. Oh, really? Peddlers of books are forever pushing their wares on him, you see. And I think he's just too kind-hearted to refuse them. There's a phrase for that in Britain. People would say they saw him coming. It makes me wonder if perhaps the vast number of books on the shelves in here are a sign of Lord Stronghart's overwhelming kind-heartedness. I'm not sure you could afford to have a kind heart if you had to keep Lord Van Zeeks in line, could you? Tick-tock on the clock. As ever, the enormous clock is diligently maintaining its rhythmical tick-tock today. Watching machinery at work can be quite mesmerizing, can't it? Ironically, you can completely forget the time. What I particularly enjoy is watching the enormous wheels of steam locomotive turning. When I was a little girl, grandmother often used to take me to watch the railway engines, you know. It's an open fire for me. I could sit and watch the flames for hours. Mr. Naruhodo, we could install one in our office. An enormous wheel, turned by an enormous steam engine. Perhaps we could start with a simple fireplace? I used to watch trains as a kid. My family would literally drive me out to the train yard, and to help me fall asleep as a kid, they would just sit the car by the train yard, and I'd watch trains till I'd go to sleep. Which, like, that train yard was far. I know the exact train yard that we used to go to. That was like 15, 20 minutes from my house. Oh my god. It's one of those things that when you think back to being a kid and you consider your parents there, you really realize what they did for you. That's crazy. Just sitting behind that desk must make you feel important, don't you think? Would you like to have an office like this, Mr. Naruhodo, with such a grand desk? Who, me? Nah, I don't think so. Oh? Well, imagine if you suddenly found yourself needing the toilet. You'd have so far to go. How true. Perhaps the important people who work in ostentatious offices like this haven't considered such things. I'm going to take that as a compliment. Honestly, thinking about where and when you poop is a pretty big deal, I think. It's actually like a serious thing to consider. Okay, do we need to look at more stuff in here? If I remember correctly, this large and imposing lump of iron is called a deeperator. To think that every single one of the adventures of Herlock Sholmes blossom from this very machine. Such a dreamy thought. I actually had to go on it the other day. Metal bars that move when you hit the keys got all tangled up somehow, and that made Iris angry. Mr. Naruhodo, you're ruining my dreamy thoughts. Please don't do that again. Ugh, that makes Susato-san angry as well. Crazy medicine. That's Iris's wonderful collection of medicines, potions, chemicals. Just look at all the little bottles she's squeezed onto the shelves. Yeah, and there are charming little ribbons tied around the bottles too. But the labels aren't quite so charming, are they? This one here reads Deadly Poison. Oh, I've been so excited about the idea of helping Iris with her experiments, you know? Just try to avoid any bottles labeled Deadly Poison or Highly Explosive. I gotta say, poisons next to a tea set is wild. Iris's pretty little tea set is set out as beautifully as ever. Look. Well, it's only by carefully taking care of a tea set that you can make good tea. Is that a roundabout way of telling me I need to tidy up my desk? Oh, Mr. Naruhodo, you do overthink things at times. Thanks, it's an affliction I was given at birth. Yeah, I kind of wish I didn't have that. The constant overthinkering. Ah, yes. Mr. Sholmes' curious collection of trinkets from the various mysteries he solved. One of my favorite parts of this room, full of items with such exciting tales to tell, and I do believe he's added to it since I last looked. Now there's a mysterious pince-nez, and a mysterious little box, a mysterious horseshoe, and a mysterious biscuit. I think that last one might just be one of Iris's unfinished snacks. Is that a pince-nez? Might be. I do like this fireplace. It's one of the best things I've seen since we arrived in the country. In fact, wow, your standards are low, buddy. Although, I do yearn for a Japanese kotatsu. Putting your legs under a warm blanketed table is so comforting. Do be careful, Mr. Naruhodo. Don't mistakenly put your feet into the fire, will you? You'd suffer terrible burns, you know. I worry sometimes about how Sasato sees me, like a toddler, just constantly bungling my way into stuff. My eyes are always drawn to the big metal chest that Mr. Sholmes and Iris use as a coffee table. Isn't it where Iris keeps her very important papers? It is, so you'd think they'd treat it with more care, really. But only the other day, I saw Mr. Sholmes kick it. Oh no! I suppose something must have been frustrating him. What a shame to mistreat the furniture, though. Was it damaged? Chest was fine, Mr. Sholmes was doubled up on the floor for almost 10 minutes. Oh dear, that is a painful tale. It was so funny. Okay, I was looking at this newspaper. This looks like last week's edition. What was that article circled in red ink there? It's an advertisement column. It says, to the Red-Headed League. The Red-Headed League? What's that? I don't know. I've never heard of it before, but... Oh, this was the clue. Something on my face? Clearly this has something to do with that. Lively hair. Okay, here we go. Somewhat suspicious in nature. This is what we were looking for. Okay. To the Red-Headed League, on account of the bequest of the late Ezekiah Hopkins of Lebanon, Pennsylvania, USA. I just watched a YouTube video that had Lebanon, is that PA? Is it Pennsylvania? I don't freaking know. I do not know the American ones, but I actually did, or Philadelphia? No, that's a city, isn't it? I don't know. Anyways, I just watched a video that featured someone from Lebanon, USA, which was weird to think about. There's now another vacancy open, which entitles a member of the league to a salary of £4 a week for purely nominal services. All red-headed men who are in sound body and mind above the age of 21 years are eligible. Apply in person on the morning of the 31st at the large park of Line Street. Get £4 per week if you are red-headed. A most fascinating... This is a scam. Anyways, what do we got here? I will say that shorter lengths of overcoats. Okay, talking about overcoats. Something. I see the word fighter there. It's probably Street Fighter reference. Public health report. Despite the condition of the city of London itself of late, it has been a positive year so far in public health. There have been fewer cases of consumption reported. Oh, get yourself down with a case of the consumption. Reported when compared to this time last year, and smallpox is at an all-time low thanks to vaccinations. This game's pro-vaccination. Can't believe how woke it's become. Guys, for real, just get vaccinated. Oh my god, come on, let's be real. And fever hospitals are the best parts of London. Doctors, however, appears to be beginning of yet another cholera epidemic on the horizon. Although the cause of such outbreaks remain unclear, the public is strongly advised to drink only water which has been previously boiled. Anyways, retrospective, truly, more than any other nation, Britain has been successful in its endeavors thanks in part to the generosity of its many investors, its long traditions of fostering inquiries into the sciences. Lest to be forgotten that this is the nation gave the world the genius of Sir Isaac Newton. However, oh my god, we're talking about Adam Smith's Wealth of the Nations? Holy crap. There's one other factor at work, the shifting field of economic thought. Despite the fact that Adam Smith's magnum opus, The Wealth of Nations, was published in 1776, the doctrine of laissez-faire has only begun to take root in the last few decades. It remains to be seen just how influential and enduring his ideas will prove. I'm literally teaching this right now. Adam Smith, Wealth of Nations, I'm literally teaching it right now. Anyways, St. Bartholomew's Hospital, the latest research findings and leading hypothesis this month from the Teaching Hospital of London, emerging consensus among doctors and scientists of all nations whereby theory of miasma is soundly rejected. Oh, miasma's gone. Good. You know, it's the humors and all that, right? In response of physician John Snow. I bet you that's a real person. Has concluded many years prior there's a strong correlation between contaminated water and the prevalence of certain diseases. In fact, the latest news to arrive from the continent is consistent with our own research into the so-called germ theory, which minuscule microorganisms are the actual cause of a great many diseases. The medical community has begun in earnest to identify and categorize all the creatures as microscopes. So for cool. Anyways, health services. A lot of health services stuff. Do not drink water which has not been previously boiled. Fresh water. Do not let water stand. Show the ingredients of the transfer. That's okay. There's a lot of health stuff going on. Anyways, Let's at least examine the rest of the stuff while we're here. All sorts on these shelves. Chemistry apparatus, books, papers, and lots of things I've never seen before. It's all heaped up so high, I can't help feeling that the whole lot's gonna topple over at any moment. It looks as though it might topple, and yet it doesn't. The epitome of Mr. Sholmes' brilliance. I don't get it. As it happens, I'm quite well practiced when it comes to stacking shelves myself. Just the other day, the shelf in my office finally gave way under the strain, though. It looks as though it might topple, and it does. Yes, the epitome of your disarray. I really don't get it. It's Miss Sholmes' famous violin, the one he found being sold for a song at a pawnbrokery. What's it called again? I've showed it something. Oh yes, this wonderful instrument features in the adventures of Herlock Sholmes. It's a world-famous Stradivarius. Stradivarius. Is it Stradivarius? That's Stradivarius, Mr. Naruhodo. Stragivor. Are you even trying now? We'll come back to this another time, I think. Crazy scope, which we used once. Finally managed to remember this behemoth's name, the Great Analytoscope. I don't think it was here when I left for Japan, was it? Oh, is that right? Yes, because it was with the pawnbroker. Of course. Oh, that's given me a wonderful idea. I could pawn everything that's on your desk. The office would be tidy at last. Don't even joke about it, Mrs. Sato. You are joking, aren't you? Don't even joke about it. Ha. Anyways, why are you red? It looks as though someone circled an advertisement in this paper, Mr. Sholmes. To the Red-Headed League. Does that strike you in some way? I was thinking that just maybe might be related to your bright red hair. So, at last you've learned to apply my methods, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry? In the first instance, and quite indispensable, observation. Believe me, I could have seen that hair with my eyes shut. So then, allow me to regale you with the details of my latest exploits. Regale or boast? What's up with the hair, dude? So what is this Red-Headed League which seems to be the subject of the advertisement you've circled? You noticed it in the paper, then? That my dear fellow was going to be the source of this month's rent payment. It was? How? According to the advertisement, the Red-Headed League is a distinguished institution of fellows of unspecified governance. In fact, the only condition for becoming a member is having red hair. That doesn't entirely surprise me. But listen to what the lucky redheads receive once they join. An unconditional salary of £4 a week. Oh my, £4 a week? But why? What are they paying people for? That I don't know. No details are given in the advertisement. But surely every red-headed person in the country would be flocking to join in that case. You're right, Susie. There's no time to lose. I'll put in my application at once. So will I, just on the off chance. That might be a stretching point, I think. And the trouble is, they have a fixed number of members, you see. Oh, I see. So once a certain number of people have joined, no one else can. But as luck would have it, one member recently passed away. It wasn't particularly lucky for the redhead in question, I feel, Mr. Sholmes. You decided to try to join in his place? Correct. I mean, look at me. Have you ever seen such a red-headed fellow? No. So why? Why did it have to go so wrong? What on earth happened? A blunder, Mr. Naruhodo, though it pains me to admit it. What did you bungle? What did you actually do to your hair, Mr. Sholmes?
I'm glad you asked, Mr. Sato. What you see atop my head is neither dyed nor a hairpiece. I changed the color of my hair overnight by the wonders of chemistry. Chemistry? I was conducting some research into a method of rejuvenating spent tea leaves, and in the course of my work I stumbled upon a potion which, when taken, turns one's hair flame-like red. Would you like to try it? Make every hair on your body perfectly crimson. I think I'll pass. But Mr. Sholmes, is it quite safe to drink? Surely it's bad for you, isn't it? Amateurs always hampered by such fears. Oh, should have never doubted you, Mr. Sholmes. You mean to say... But of course. To earn £4 per week, one must be prepared to turn a blind eye to a little danger. That degree of red signals more than a little danger, surely. So anyway, Hurley left full of confidence yesterday with his new red hair for the park on Lime Street, where the Red-Headed League was interviewing prospective new members. So what went wrong? The whole park was choked with red-headed folk like a Costa's orange barrel. Like a what? Those are just words. I queued for 8 hours solid before at last I reached the front. When the panel of interviewers saw me, they immediately said, "Ah, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, are you in disguise to conduct an investigation?" Oof. Bro got hit with that fame debuff. So naturally, I had no choice but to reply, "Shh, don't give me away." After which I could do little else but turn and leave. And this morning, when I looked in the mirror, irritation stirred within me. So I turned that pair into the police. So you just arrested people in anger? Oh dear, what a disaster. For Hurley and those two redheads. Oh, the phone's ringing. Aha! Here's my guest now. Oh, that's not the phone. That is a person, my latest client, with money to spend. Oh, I do hope it's an exciting case, Hurley. Remember, Iris, we are at present gripped by the greatest problem known to man. Must be willing to accept any case, no matter how unstimulating. Save locating a runaway, of course. Don't spare anyone's feelings, will you? Oh dear. I'm afraid that Hurley can lack a little tact, especially just before rent is due. Whack? What the... Oh, ma'am! It's the booby lady from last trial. Mr. Sholmes. Oh, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, please. Oh, please. Please find my husband. He's run away. Upset me. I beg your pardon. Never mind, a personal matter. My apologies. What exactly are you trying to say, Mr. Naruhodo? I didn't say a word. Come, my dear madam. Be seated. Iris, some tea, if you please. Of course. What's the matter, Mrs. Sato? Oh, it's just that gentlewoman. I feel sure I've seen her somewhere before. Very recently. Yes, now you come to mention it. She was the one writing Doomed Yowie for... Oh, right. Evie. Evie Vigil. Someone's dead. As I mentioned earlier, my name is Evie Vigil. Evie? Evie Vigil? Like ever vigilant, maybe? I implore you to take the case, sir. Money is no object. Simply name your figure. Money and wealth are of little consequence to me, madam. You liar. Being offered a case to solve is reward enough. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, you are the picture of benevolence. I will, of course, make a mental note of your offer, however, for contingent reasons. I trust you'll remember your words also. If I might inquire, sir. This gentleman and lady would be... Oh, me? What I am about to tell you,
I should like to communicate in the strictest confidence, you understand?
These are my friends. I assure you, you may say before this pair anything which you may say to me.
Oh, I see.
I can vouch for the gentleman personally. After all, he's hard of hearing. Why did I ever get my hopes up?
Did you know I'm an attorney?
Mrs. Vigil? Would you mind casting your eyes over this?
Oh, my poor Daily.
Daily Vigil? Is that a pun too?
Where have you gone? What's become of you? I'm afraid she's too worried about her husband to pay any attention, Mr. Naruhodo.
Either that or she just doesn't want to be bothered with me.
Okay.
Well, that's fine. We have a 36. Okay. Let's talk. Mrs. Vigil? Forgive me for asking, Mrs. Vigil, but, have we met somewhere before? Very recently, perhaps?
Oh, my.
Pshaw, my dear fellow, what is your intention? Clearly, you have no ability to differentiate the facial features of the English. If you wish to invite the lady to tea, you must do so in a more gentlemanly fashion.
Is it possible that you're the nice young lawyer from the trial I attended last week?
I knew I recognized her.
To have a man's fate in the palm of one's hand? Oh gosh, oh golly, it sends shivers down my spine.
I didn't quite recognize her because she's acting so differently now.
It must be very difficult for you as a lawyer. Being hard of hearing, I mean.
Pardon? Oh, that's funny.
Oh dear, I'm so sorry. Don't worry if you can't hear. It was frippery, really, nothing more.
Now look what you've started, Mr. Sholmes. Thank you very much. I believe it would be prudent for you to sit quietly in the corner. Yes. Okay. What about Mr. Vigil? Tell us about your husband, madam.
Mr. Vigil, my Daily, is 40 years of age.
Oh, that dude's not gonna have a 3D model. He's dead.
I have a photograph here.
This dude is dead beyond belief. An entirely unremarkable gentleman, by appearance at least. How long have you been married?
It will be 15 years this year. We have a cordial relationship, and my husband's income is more than adequate so we can live quite comfortably.
As it would appear. I need only look at you to know these things.
Oh, gosh.
Your dress is the latest style, your hat clearly regularly groomed, and your eyes are animated. In short, you have no inkling as to why a husband might have disappeared, correct? Are they? No, they're kind of still. I don't see too much animation in her eyes.
That's right. He's a kind man with a strong sense of loyalty, and he rather dotes on me.
Which would point to the possibility that he's become embroiled in some incident or other.
Oh, that is exactly what I fear must have happened, Mr. Sholmes. I'm quite beside myself. My husband's employment is somewhat unusual, you see. He sits in front of his computer and plays video games while doing funny voices. It's quite strange, but he does allow us to live a nice life. What if he's incurred some miscreant's ill will?
What exactly is your husband's line of work?
He's a warder at the prison.
A guard? And he's somewhat unusual. Okay. It's a little unusual. So, your husband is a prison warder.
That's right, yes. Well, in actual fact, he's the chief warder.
Indeed. I see. Well, chief prison warder certainly qualifies as something of a specialist occupation.
Yes, it does indeed. My poor husband must prepare those dreadful punishments and see that they're carried out.
Dreadful punishments? Does she mean capital punishments?
And at such times, he must occasionally spend a night or two in the prison dormitory. but for that extra responsibility he is remunerated more handsomely than the other warders. Of course, we make no mention of my husband's work to the neighbors.
Yes, I believe your prudence is justified. Tell me, at what prison is your husband engaged? Is it the one we know?
Yep, Barclay Prison, Mr. Sholmes.
Oh, really? Barclay? Oh, a fine establishment. If I'm not mistaken, there's a large cemetery just behind it.
Yes, that's correct. Lowgate Cemetery.
No! Lowgate Cemetery? The very place we were discussing in court! That's unbelievable! Unbelievable, my dear fellow. And yet, undeniable.
Sorry, Mr. Sholmes. I'm afraid you've lost me.
Pay no heed, madam. Pay no heed. A private matter. This can't really be a coincidence, can it? Nah, it's all tied together, dude. Anyways, tell me about how he disappeared. Or tell Sholmes, I guess. So, to the matter of your husband's disappearance, when did you realize he was missing?
Please try not to laugh.
Was it on the shitter?
It was yesterday.
I'm sorry. Yesterday? Really is recent, laughably so.
The truth is, my husband does at times have occasion to spend the night away for his work. It's not at all out of the ordinary for him to not return home at night, but this is different. For him not to make any eye contact for a whole day, this has certainly never happened before. Oh, my dear Daly, whatever could have happened?
My dear Mrs. Vigil, please, calm thine tits. Now then, have you contacted the police?
Why, naturally, but sadly, they refused to listen to my pleas as my husband has only been missing for one day. I was asked to wait patiently at home.
In truth, Mrs. Vigil, I concur with the police. However, this is not to be hasty. I see no reason why we should not engage my deductive powers to track your husband down anyway.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Sholmes.
And furthermore, let me assure you, a chance to solve the greatest problem known to man for another month has no bearing on my decision. I seek only to put a sweet smile on another Londoner's face. It's really all there is to it.
You have my eternal gratitude. I shall pay any sum you care to mention.
You seek only to put this suit's rent in your landlady's purse. That's all there is to it. Thank you for everything you've shared with us, Mrs. Vigil. I believe I have all the information I need to begin my investigation.
Oh, please report to me soon with good news, sir.
Fear not, madam. In a day or two, I shall be contacting you with a heartening report. Quite sure.
So soon? Oh, how splendid, Mr. Sholmes.
Good news should be delivered early, I always say. You would be so kind as to leave the photograph of your husband in my possession? Photograph of... Oh my god, we're taking this. Okay. Thank you. Now allow me to show you the door.
I can't thank you enough, Mr. Sholmes. You've been simply marvelous. You know, I think it every time, Hurley. But how do you come out with such nonsense? Good news in a day or two, are you sure?
I can't be sure, of course. Then I didn't swear on it. I merely gave the good woman some hope. I hope to be able to give her some good news, one might say. After all, the rent must be paid by the end of the day tomorrow. If by that time I've successfully located Mr. Vigil, we shall be mutually relieved. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? Don't look at me with those pleading eyes. Well, my dear fellow, do you have the details of the case? Yeah, my hearing is surprisingly good, actually. Excellent. And what did you make of it? Well, I was surprised to learn where her husband worked. At Barclay Prison, I mean. Ah, so you noted that.
Of course. Especially with the mention of Lowgate Cemetery. I'm not doing this voice again. Yes, it was renowned among us students of the university for being haunted by the ghosts of condemned convicts. Yeah, I'm not doing that voice again. Barclay Prison is where that notorious man was incarcerated. The professor. And now water from the prison has mysteriously disappeared, it would seem. It's all very peculiar. Indeed. But nothing you can't handle, I'm quite certain, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry? Run along to the prison and see what you can glean. Would you? Is the prison governor you want? No doubt that man is equally worried. But aren't you going to go yourself? Surely you needn't ask. I can't possibly be seen out with this hair. But didn't you go to Lime Street with that hair? That was quite a different matter. So I leave it in your capable hands. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm rather busy. Of course you are. All right, we're going to go there because I feel like it's going to be a twofer and I don't want to do multiple 3-hour videos in a row. We'll see you guys next time for some more Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve. It says investigation. No one's died yet, but maybe they have. Oh, we'll have to see. We'll see you guys next time for some more. Ciao.
Yo.